Hello, my name is Taylor Kelty, and I want to talk about kind of an elephant in the room that seems to be dominating most conversations that I have when I tell people that I am involved in a technical school, and that is should we let companies replace jobs with AI? There's a lot of different opinions about this, and a lot of people are afraid of it. So let's start with the definition. The dictionary defines automation as the technique of making an apparatus, a process, or a system operate automatically. I think most people are familiar with automation. We have a lot of goods and services now that are dictated by automation. It's definitely a factor of convenience. I think that's one of the most important things we need to remember about technology is that as technology advances, it usually goes towards convenience. Now, up to 300 million globally by 2030. That is the number of full time jobs reported by the BBC that could be replaced by AI automation. Now, that is something that I think a lot of people are going to be afraid of when they hear that statistic. But I think it's also important to remember where we've come from and how many millions of jobs are around today that were around 100 years ago. I don't think too many. I think when we look at the jobs of 100 years ago, it looks like an entirely different world. And I think that's what we can expect looking at the next 100 years. That doesn't mean that necessarily there's 300 million more unemployed people. It just means that jobs look different. And I think that's the key takeaway, and that's the most important thing that I want to look at. So, in terms of automation over the last 100 years, we've had cars, electricity, computers, and internet all absolutely revolutionize what jobs look like. Electricity has obviously been around for more than 100 years, cars just about. But we can see that these forms of technology have drastically changed what jobs look like. Back before everybody had access to vehicles, uh, people would need to show what's the word would need to cart people around. They would need to borrow rides. We still have public transit, obviously, but now that everybody has cars, jobs look different. Now that everybody has access to electricity, jobs before where people didn't have electricity, like let's say sewing machines. People are still sewing. It's just it's been automated now by electricity, computers, and internet. Obviously, anybody that is going to school right now probably remembers a time before the internet, or at least when the internet was taking storm. There's still those jobs, like everybody whose jobs were replaced by the internet. Their work just looks different. I think that's what we need to remember looking forward, because automation replaces repetitive tasks, data entry, and manual labor. So if you have a job that is mostly done with repetitive tasks or data entry or manual labor, like I said, those things can be replaced by automation, especially AI. I mean, this isn't a new concept when we look at factories and assembly lines. Work just changes based on automation. It doesn't necessarily put us out of jobs, it just changes what those jobs look like. If we have humans doing repetitive tasks that could be done by robots, let's have the robots do that and have humans do the things that only humans can do. Now, I think the main example of this that we can see locally, at least that comes to my mind, is the self checkout revolutionizing the grocery store. Now, I live in a fairly conservative city where a lot of people, there was quite a bit of pushback against grocery stores doing self checkout. And I remember seeing at the grocery store, still today, there's a lot of people, usually of the older, more conservative types, that refuse to use self checkout. Whether it's because of a learning curve or they're making a stance, they don't want to see the lack of jobs or the jobs being given to robots. But according to this slide, according to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, grocery stores actually have a record high employment rate as of 2023, which is the the most recent data I have from the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. And self checkouts have been exploding over the last, I'd say, 10 years, probably. And up to 2 years ago, grocery stores are hiring more people than ever. And that's because we have people doing people jobs. And the repetitive tasks, like doing checkout, we can give it to automated machines. People can check themselves out with it. So where are the cashiers that were doing the checkouts before? Now we have people monitoring the self checkout, something that a machine couldn't do. Like usually, you don't want to have to. If you're having trouble with a machine, you're going to want to ask a person to help you do it. We have more people doing what are called go backs in retail. We have more people collecting carts and cleaning, doing things that people usually find a lot more interesting than the repetitive tasks. If we look at AI automation to handle the repetitive tasks, then humans can focus on what humans do best, which is creativity and innovation. Those are things that we don't want to outsource them to robots because we want to be able to have fun with our jobs, like being creative and innovating. If we focus on AI automation as a collaborator rather than a replacement, we can see a future where jobs have a much more meaningful role in our lives than doing something like just doing checkout. And it, effectively, the jobs that we don't like doing, we can give to AI to create new opportunities for humans to do work that humans like doing. AI automation does equal more meaningful work. So if you're worried about your job replacing you, just think about all the parts of your job that you don't like doing and how AI can do those for you and how much better your job is going to be. Thank you.